Hey kids, welcome to the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
Taping here on the 13th of July. This will hit, as always, just in time for your weekend. Saturday morning, the 16th. We will let you know what to listen to, what to watch, and what to stay away from. But first and foremost, we always start with music. Rock and roll on the weekend edition. So it's time to rock down the highway with the Doobie Brothers.
Yes, the big concert review. Been waiting and waiting and waiting for this show. Bought the tickets in 2019 for a 2020 summer show. Effing COVID hosed us. Finally got it this past Sunday night.
Yep. Definitely a good show. Well worth the wait. Although, I have to admit, I was overly critical of this show as we were leaving. I don't know why, but there were just a couple things that stood out that really irritated me, and we'll get to those in a few minutes. So, I will probably sound like a negative Nancy for this review, even though I really did enjoy the show and had a good time. I think you and I will agree on one of my criticisms, though, that I think we kind of discussed briefly.
But the more I thought about it, we should have expected it. It shouldn't have been a surprise. And I think it is what it is.
So, of course, it was this past Sunday, the 10th, at Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Set list included 24 songs, including Dave's favorite, the encore, because Dave loves standing up and clapping and giving unconditional love to all these egotistical rock stars.
Balls, just sit there and play. Forget this crap.
Criticism number one, as we look at the set list here, was the set was too backloaded when it came to the hits. Now, the Doobie Brothers are worthy Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members. I've always said that one of my measuring sticks for that is, does a band have enough songs for a double disc, double album greatest hits? And the Doobie Brothers definitely
do.
So that's why I was a little surprised and a little disappointed that they really didn't play a lot of their recognizable songs in the first hour.
Yeah, they hit some of the newer stuff off Liberté.
Yeah, they played 3 songs off of Liberté. And if you remember, kids, going back last year to our review of the album, we weren't overly impressed with it.
No, it was mediocre.
And as I recall, we did like a couple of the songs, and they didn't even play those, or at least Cannonball, I think, was the one we really liked. And I was waiting for that, and they never played that. I did like Don't You Mess With Me. That was one of the other ones that I thought was good on the album. They played that.
Yeah.
But Better Days, didn't do really anything for me.
No.
So
they did not do a good job of mixing it up. They saved all the big recognizable hits, like he said, for the last half of the show. And it would have been a lot more enjoyable with a mix.
Yeah. I also have a problem with Michael McDonald. Now maybe I've been tainted, poisoned by our good friend Christy.
Perhaps.
Because when we were at the Billy Joel tailgater, she and I discussed Michael McDonald, and she has a passionate hate for him, as she ripped into the fact
a deep disdain for Mushmouth.
Yes, and he was in full Mushmouth form Sunday night. The thing I had a problem with, he made it so hard to sing along with the songs that he was featured on, because he scats, he skips lines, he skips words. And you're sitting there trying to sing something like What a Fool Believes or It Keeps You Running, and he would hold on and not sing the song, the line, the way it was on the single. He would give himself half the time to cram in the words with a dramatic pause instead of just singing it
the way
like
it
normal.
should have been sung. And that's one that we should have expected it. It is who he is. And he's not going to change live. That's being the prima donna performer coming back in.
And I did kind of like the vibe when it came to that. Because, yeah, he left the Doobie Brothers to go out on his own because he thought he was better than the Doobies. And he did have success, not huge success. Another guy that comes to mind would be Peter Cetera of Chicago. Same thing.
Yep. Thought he was greater than the whole.
Got a couple hits.
But
after that
was it.
They realized nobody wants to see me. They want to see my old band. So I did kind of like it how it seemed like Tom Johnston and Patrick Simmons grabbed back the spotlight from the Doobies from him.
Yes, they introduced themselves and everybody else and then got to him.
Yeah. A little bit of revenge for them, I think.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Yes. Again, that being said, they played everything you would have expected. Played for about 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yep.
I did have issues with their version. Again, Michael McDonald of It Keeps You Running, one of my favorite songs. Expected more from it. I think they botched it. Too much saxophone. I had that problem with many of the songs.
Yeah, they featured their sax player a lot of sax solo.
Yeah. And I didn't understand it because I know the Doobies had saxophone in a few of their big hits, a few of their songs, but not every other song and not a minute-long solo. And the thing with It Keeps You Running that really bothered me was that song is a little intense and a little edgy, the studio version is. And they putting the sax in there just kind of took the edge off of it and made it like a little more light and fluffy than I would have liked.
A little more jazzy than rockin'.
Yeah. Now, they did kill it on my absolute favorite Doobie Brothers song, Long Train Running.
Oh, God, that was brilliant.
But again, that's not a Michael McDonald song. That's Tom Johnston.
Yeah.
And Tom Johnston was great the whole night. Sounded great. Guitar was great. Patrick Simmons was high.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't tell in his voice every time he opened his mouth to talk about something.
Wow, lights. Wow, I love the lights when you guys do that. A slow song. Do the lights. You know, they're lighters, their phones, or their lighters.
Somebody get a picture of that. It's so cool.
But luckily, it did not seem to impact his performance. He was solid.
He was solid.
So, any complaints or kudos on your part to give?
Like you said, the only thing, McDonald is what he is, whatever. But they should have mixed the set list up. They should have mixed the bigger things from the end all throughout. It would have been a lot more enjoyable that way. But that being said, sound was phenomenal.
Yes, very good sound. Van Andel never disappoints when it comes to that. It seems like every time we've seen a show at Van Andel, the sound has been really, really good.
Yeah, or they just have good sound guys working for them.
Right.
Because we've been other places where
it's hit and miss.
It's hit and miss. Hell, it's been hit and miss during the same evening, depending on who the sound person was.
Because of course, the headliner doesn't let the opening act use all of the sound equipment.
Right, but we've been there where Alice Cooper, as the opening act, had great sound. Everything was tight. And then Motley Crue, as a headliner, the sound sucked.
Yep.
So you never know what you're going to get, but I enjoyed it. I was very happy with it overall. I'll give them a 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with 3. 3 frenzies. I do want to point out one song so I don't sound like I just want the hits. You know, we saw the Sammy Hagar, George Thorogood show recently, and that was just a hit fest.
Right.
So I want to point out that I do like different things. I do like different songs. Normally, I don't mind it if they mix up or try something different with a big hit. I don't think it worked here. But the one song, what they call it, their psychedelic folk song, Clear as the Driven Snow, I actually liked that.
That was enjoyable.
That was an interesting song that I have never heard before. Now, I know that's in their back catalog.
Right.
But I kind of liked it. I thought it was intense. I thought it was a really cool song. I enjoyed it.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
That was probably the one that was on there that I didn't expect to hear.
And again, going back to what Dave mentioned about sound, if the sound is good, we can enjoy those type of songs more than if the sound is crappy.
Right, because if the
we need
sound
to be able
is
to
good,
hear the lyrics, hear the different instruments in and out of the mix. If the sound's crappy, then you better not do that crap. You better just play the hits so we can recognize them. Because if you're going to try to throw curveballs out there like that, you need good sound so we can understand it. I'm admitting I don't know the entire Doobie Brothers catalog, but this song was enjoyable because I could tell the passion they were playing with, the intensity.
And we could hear the damn lyrics.
Right. Unlike Bon Jovi earlier this year.
God, that was a nightmare. We will not revisit it again.
Yep. So again, very solid show. Worth the wait. 3 frenzies from each of us.
Yep. Definitely worthwhile.
Now we move on to my mystery album that I gave Dave to listen to. I wanted to have fun with this. We could have gone safe and listened to the new Journey album. We'll do that next week.
Yep.
But I thought when I discovered this album, all I wanted to do was tell Dave, here's the name, listen to it. You're not getting anything else out of me.
No.
The debut album from Deraps.
Yep. A trio that I looked up after listening to it twice. It is a full-on homage to 70s and 80s rock and metal. And it sucks you in with their first instrumental Invasion, which harkens back to Eruption. Their homage to Eddie. Much shorter.
Right.
But you get that vibe. And then going right into Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, which has that Van Halen feel to it.
I thought almost the entire album sounded like it was a direct homage to Van Halen.
It was, but
there were some songs that went off that path a little bit.
There were. I could see hints of other bands here and there for sure.
Absolutely. Some better, some worse.
Right. So, was it Veins of My Heart reminded me of Dokken. It had that little...
You and I were very simpatico, except I thought My Side of Town sounded more like Dokken.
It had that little bit.
It had a hybrid Dokken Van Halen feel to it. That would be song 3.
Right.
Now, Veins of My Heart and My Side of Town were my 2 favorite songs. So that's why I
did enjoy them.
I'm focusing on those 2. Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, I don't know. It's gotten a lot of attention along with Veins of My Heart. Those were the first 2 big releases off the album. I wasn't a huge fan of Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll.
See, I kind of enjoyed it the more I listened to it.
And again, the lead singer and guitarist, Jacob Deraps. So now I know where the name comes from.
Yeah.
Trying to rack my brain figuring out the puzzle of the name. Again, an homage to Van Halen.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
Last name of the main member or members of the band becomes the band name. But he tried to be like David Lee Roth a little bit on this
A
song.
little
with
bit
that
on
David
that
Lee
one.
Roth rap, talking kind of stuff. But then I said, song 3, My Side of Town, I loved.
That was very good.
That was probably the most creative song to me on the album. It didn't sound necessarily like Van Halen. It had the Dokken feel. It had the Van Halen stuff. But that one,
the real nitty-gritty,
kind of became a creation of its own, despite its influences.
Very good.
Live Fast, Die Slow was pretty good.
It was decent. Elizabeth, the instrumental, that would have been more of a solid album without that.
Oh, I didn't mind it. Again, it's another Van Halen homage is what it is.
It was, but it just, I don't know. I could have done without it. Make You Groove. I kind of like that one. That was fun.
That was about my third favorite. Yeah, after the two big ones at the beginning, towards the beginning.
Yeah,
I did like, and that you got to listen to that one a couple
70s
times.
rock feel to it. I don't know, almost like a Slade type feel.
Yep, I did like that one a lot. I think after that, the album kind of slides downhill a little bit. Wild to the Woman was okay. Not bad.
No, not too bad. On My Mind had that true 70s blue suede type feel to it.
I did like On My Mind.
That was kind of a fun little...
That was probably the song on the album that I thought was farthest away from all the influences we're talking about.
Right.
The most creative song by Deraps, more establishing their identity, sounding different and unique.
Yeah. And then Fuck Off.
Fuck Off is just pointless. It's just pointless.
There was no need for it.
You get more of the David Lee Roth, type stuff. I just didn't get it. I didn't know what they were going for. Again, are they trying to be Van Halen? Van Halen would never do something this crass and stupid.
No, that was more like a GNR type thing.
Yeah, except bad GNR.
Yeah, very bad.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got another Van Halen trick is the remake.
Pull a cover.
So you got to put a cover on there. So they close out the album with Ballroom Blitz. I officially, and I'm not saying they had a bad version of Ballroom Blitz. It's fine. I think that's one of the songs we need to put a moratorium on.
No more Ballroom Blitz.
You do not get to cover Ballroom Blitz anymore.
No,
it's been done.
It's over. It's a mediocre song at best.
I like Crocus's version. That was it for me. I was like, that's good. We're done.
Yeah, Crocus.
Sweet's original is fine.
It's
obviously
Crocus has the best version, hands down.
But yeah, no more Ballroom Blitz. We don't need any more versions of Ballroom Blitz. Okay, kids? All right, so that being said, 11 songs. What do you give Deraps' debut album, David?
I like the nostalgia to it. It had enough to keep me listening to it multiple times. I will go 3. Just for something new and different.
That's where I went. 3 frenzies. More highs than lows.
Yes.
Really, I didn't find anything on the album offensively bad.
I didn't hate anything.
Right, even Fuck Off was, like you said, yeah, you can hear echoes of GNR in there, but it's just misplaced.
Yeah.
With the rest of the stuff, which was a little bit more 70s and 80s rock metal.
It's fun. It's a new band trying to rock, giving you something nostalgic that you would like to have more of, but we're not getting.
Yeah. So there you go, kids. Check out Deraps, especially if you're a fan of Van Halen, Dokken, any of that 70s, 80s rock that we always talk about and love.
You won't be disappointed.
One song this week to review.
We could actually do 2 if you want.
Depends on the song you're discussing here.
The Collective Soul.
Did you listen to it enough?
I listened to it a couple times.
Okay, we can do that too.
We can do a bonus song this week, kids.
Yes. Yeah, Dave and I usually plan this stuff out ahead of time, but sometimes things pop up. Collective Soul released their first single off their new upcoming album, Vibrating. And, of course, I burned through it about 10, 12 times. But unofficially, you got to wonder, is Dave going to pick up on this?
Yep.
Is Dave going to listen to it? So
all our pieces.
Yep.
It was okay. It wasn't their most solid song. It gives me hope that we could get a really good album out of them.
Well, I don't think the problem is they're always consistent when it comes to the albums. They haven't really put out a bad album, but I understand what you're saying about this is not the strongest first single.
No.
It's a little poppy. It's catchy.
It is. It does have a catchy little refrain, and the guitar riff is very catchy.
Right. But it's not groundbreaking for them. It's not something really different.
No, it's...
To me, it sounds like, and again, this is not an insult, because I am a huge Collective Soul fan, but this sounds like on a really strong Collective Soul album, this would be the 4th or 5th best song.
Yeah. For
this to be the lead single,
I'm
slightly worried. Again,
a little bit.
They've never let me down.
No.
So,
but I'm giving all our pieces 2.5.
Oh, I'll give it 3. I think it's better than that. I'll go ahead and give it 3 frenzies. And then finally, the song we officially agreed on to review this week.
Yep. Let It Rain from King's X.
Who I have always kind of liked, kind of gotten into later on in their career. I wasn't on when their albums came out. I wasn't like standing in line to buy them or anything, but one of those bands that I listen to their greatest hits all the time, really like stuff like Black Flag, Dogman. And I tell you what, I think this is going to be another one. I like the Collective Soul a little bit better than you.
You probably like this one a lot better than me.
Loved this song. I absolutely loved it.
I was not over the moon for it. It did not hook me in.
Oh boy, that means that
it's a.
I don't know if we're going to review the album then, because if you didn't like this,
it's a 2.5 for me.
Oh, 3.5. 3.5.
But I've never been a big King's X fan.
Yeah, I love this song.
Yeah, King's X, to it. I would not go out of my way to listen to at any point.
Yeah, see, now once I heard it the first time, I went back and listened to it 3 or 4 times within the next 2 hours.
Yeah, I listened to it a couple of times, and it didn't do it for me.
There you go. I knew that was coming too. That one I could have predicted.
I tried. I gave it multiple tries.
I appreciate it.
But it just did not do it for me.
All right, so next week we will review, as I mentioned, Journey's new album, Freedom. Of course, we'll have a review, another concert review. Tom Kiefer, LA Guns, Faster Pussycat on the Sonic Slam tour. We're seeing them Friday. Actually, we'll end up seeing them before this hits.
Yes.
We're time traveling. We got the Sports Frenzy DeLorean out instead of the Plane of Doom.
We are telling you, and this will hit after we've seen the show, but we haven't seen it yet as we record.
We've mentioned Collective Soul, The Cult. New album coming out October the 7th, Under the Midnight Sun. That's one of Dave's favorites.
That's one I am anticipating.
First single is out. We'll review that for you next week. That is called Give Me Mercy. So we've got Journey next week. We have got The Cult. Also, one other song. David Lee Roth, brand new single. I have not partaken of this song yet. Heard it's very mellow. Be interesting to listen to. Pointing at the Moon from David Lee Roth. Hopefully at some point.
Hopefully it's not about his dogs.
He is going to put all of these songs he's released here and there, dribs and drabs over the last year or two, He's going to actually put out an album at some point, you would hope.
You would hope.
And I'm sorry, I do have one more song review for us next week.
All right, one
Just
more.
came out today. Last minute edition here. Skid Row. New single, Tear It Down, from their upcoming album, The Gang's All Here.
All right.
Couple little music notes to discuss before we wrap up segment 1. Congratulations to Wolfgang Van Halen, our boy, as he got engaged.
Good for him.
Longtime girlfriend, Andrea Alsop. Cute couple. Saw the pictures.
Yep. They've been together a while. It's about damn time.
Yeah, they look like they're in love. Let's see what happens 20 years from now.
5.
Bruce Springsteen did finally announce the dates so far for his 2023 U.S. tour. And of course, flyover country where we live.
Nothing.
I guess. No Chicago dates, no Indianapolis dates. I've got to believe he's going to add at least a Chicago date at some point.
I wouldn't count on it. Pretentious bag that he is.
He's playing Detroit and Cleveland and Milwaukee. But he's not playing Chicago and he's not playing Indianapolis.
F him,
or
man.
Grand Rapids. You know.
F him.
And then finally, a little bit of a scandal popped up today. Everybody knows how much I despise the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. One of the curators of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, one of the guys in charge of finding the items and the artifacts that go into the displays, is embroiled in a fraud case.
Ooh.
Got roped in by a couple other guys, it looks like, to help sell stolen handwritten lyrics from Don Henley.
Oh.
Some of the Eagles' greatest hits, including Hotel California. The man who is entrusted with being the caretaker of all these sacred rock and roll items ends up trying to sell them.
Not cool,
behind the
dude.
scenes.
Not cool. Now, is that more of a big FU to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because they are no longer truly the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I think it's just
or he's just a greedy little bastard.
Yeah. Greedy little bastard.
There we go.
I think we're going with that. Yeah.
Works for me.
Again, another wonderful genius criminal who they always think, well, I can get away with it.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Most of the time, kids, you're not going to get away with it.
Nope. Not going to happen.
Coming up, second segment, TV and streaming, including the long-awaited full season 3 review from Dave and I of Amazon Prime's The Boys.
Ugh. Cannot wait to discuss this in its full entirety.
Hang on, kids. That'll be coming up in just a few minutes. In the fortress of solitary justice, 2 brave men hold the fate of the sports world in their hands, with the utterance of a single word: frenzy! These seemingly ordinary men become the Maestro and the Conquistador, destined to save the world from stupidity on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and all noble podcast hosts everywhere. Dave and Kev stand for truth, justice, and the frenzy way.
All right, kids. Segment 2 of the weekend edition, streaming and TV with me, the Conquistador Dave Height.
And moi, the Maestro Kevin Crane.
Bringing you this wonderful podcast anywhere you can find podcasts. Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher, and now on Amazon Music and Audible.
Yep. Big news. Big news. We lost Breaker as they're shutting down, but got a kind of a good deal there where we traded
Lose
Breaker
one, get two.
That's right. So check us out, like Dave said, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
And this should be at the top of the list, people.
Damn, Skippy!
All right.
Especially when we review the coolest shows last week. Stranger Things, Season 4, and now The Boys. Season 3 is done, finished, all episodes out there. So that means it's time for Dave and I to break down Season 3.
Yep, get your V ready, kids.
Don't worry about the green goo oozing out of your ears.
It's just your brain leaking.
Of course, they have renewed The Boys for Season 4, so not really a lot of stuff in terms of cliffhangers.
No.
But there are some storylines that they've set up.
Disturbing storylines that have been set up.
Yes, there were some people who were injured very badly that maybe you would not expect.
Yep.
And look like they're walking away from the battle against Homelander. But
they fought the good fight.
But of course, Butcher and Huey, Starlight, although she is now
just
dropped out of the 7.
Yep. She's dropped the moniker. She's just Annie now.
Frenchie.
Yep. And was it
Amico?
Amico.
Yep. We won't give you a ton of details in terms of what happened to each character because we're not spoilers here. We don't do that. So while our reviews seem like they might be a little bit vague, that's why we're doing it, is to protect the innocence for you and your viewing experience.
Herogasm.
But we didn't quite get the showdown we were expecting yet.
No.
Involving Soldier Boy and Homelander and Butcher. It could still happen.
It could still happen.
But it looks like they're going to go in a different direction now.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see what they do with Soldier Boy. Not to give it away completely, but the family dynamic has got to be mentioned. There's a big family dynamic that's going to be, has to be the epicenter of Season 4.
Right, because we thought a few episodes ago before the final episode here that just finally hit last week, we thought it was going to be Butcher, Soldier Boy, Homelander,
and in a way, down, drag out.
Now, with a fourth person brought into this,
the wild card.
Now, Dave's right. Now it's a very, very interesting family dynamic featuring all 4 of those characters.
Yeah,
because the Butcher gets drawn in. He is part of that dynamic now. Let's put it that way.
Whether he wants to be or not.
Yep. So we've also got politics involved.
Yep. One evil super senator tacked on to be vice president. Oof.
Yep. And of course, a lot of the reviews and the things I read after the last episode aired talked about how the final scene with Homelander is kind of proving the fanaticism of Trump followers. And of course, Eric Kripke, one of the creators, of course, formerly of Supernatural, was more than happy to chime in and say, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for there. But when somebody mentioned the senator that you were talking about, the government official who ends up on the big ticket, let's put it that way, being a little bit like AOC. Of course, he
Oh,
backtracked.
no,
And,
no, 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 no,
that's
no,
not what we're really
no.
going for there. I don't know if that's. I don't know why you see that. I don't understand.
Well, if you can draw one comparison, you have to be able to draw the other, because that's obviously where you were going.
Yeah, God forbid you rip on both sides, you know. But that being said, the third season of The Boys was great.
It did not disappoint.
Yeah.
It ramped up the pressure everybody's feeling.
Yeah. And if you have not watched The Boys, it is one of the best shows, TV streaming, bar none.
It's disturbing on many levels.
Violence, sexuality, yeah. They do not hold back.
They do not.
Language. But that being said, it is so good, so well written, so well acted, so entertaining. It's 4 frenzies for me. It's the rare.
Easily 4. This is, cannot wait to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah. It is one of the top 2 or 3 shows out there.
And there's multiple storylines going on throughout each episode.
Right. There's characters, they do a great job of polarizing you in terms of characters you love, characters you hate, characters you're on the fence about.
That go one side to the other.
Butcher especially. You seem to go back and forth, you vacillate one side or the other. Sometimes he comes off like the ultimate dick, and sometimes he seems like he's actually got a heart.
Yeah. And sometimes he seems like both at once.
Yep. So cannot wait for season 4. But as we have talked about here on past episodes, it just takes too damn long for these streaming companies to get these shows out. Yeah. I don't know if it's because of monetary restrictions or what.
Actor schedules, we don't know. But supposedly there's supposed to be like a spin-off.
Yes, young, as well. Like a university type spin-off. A school for soups, something like that. I hope it's better than the animated Diabolical was. I did not like.
That wasn't all that.
I wasn't a fan of that. I liked the idea behind it, kind of like what they did years and years and years ago with Animatrix, but was not well executed at all. So hopefully the spinoff that you're mentioning, the college university spinoff, will work better. But I've heard they're already having issues with actors dropping in and out. And
come on, people, commit.
We will see what happens. We will see. Of course, Dave and I have been talking about the Terminal List. We have not been able to really get much farther in it than 1 or 2 episodes yet.
Yep, it's good, but there's been a lot going on.
Yeah, we've talked about the first episode or so, the premise, where it looks like it could go. I will say this. Don't take this the wrong way. This is kind of like King's X from the last segment. It has not gripped me yet, has not pulled me in yet. I'm still on the fence. If the second episode doesn't wrap up well and the third episode isn't that good, I don't know if I'm going to watch the whole thing. I don't know. It's not doing it for me for some reason.
There you go.
It's not bad. The setup isn't bad.
I have to see what the second episode will do.
Right. And I was
intrigued. I liked the beginning of the first. It started to lose me. And then the end of the first kind of gave me hope that it could be good. We'll see.
I'm not a huge fan. It's got to be done really, really well, of the whole what's reality, what's not, what's a false memory, what's not. And we'll talk about that when we get to the movies for my movie review of the week. But I'm not a huge fan of those type of movies. I'm just not. It's almost like cheating.
It wears.
It's almost like cheating.
Yeah.
Where you can put something in there and just say, oh no, that was an alternate reality, or that was a forgotten memory, or,
That's a cop-out.
Yeah.
Unless yeah, it's the rare movie that can pull that off.
Right. And of course, we won't review anything yet. We won't discuss yet. It just debuted last night. But of course, the vampires are back.
Yes.
What We Do in the Shadows, season 4, episodes 1 and 2 debuted last night.
So we will have the review for you next week.
I will say I have seen them. Of course, as always, they're enjoyable. I do want to say this. This is not a spoiler. Special effects with what they're doing with young Colin Robinson. How they can put his face, the grown-up actor Mark Proch, I think his name is.
Yeah.
How they can put his face on a child's body. And that child can run around, and they seamlessly do it where it looks real. Is freaky. It is just freaky.
Looking forward to it.
It is awesome.
Very cool.
Then I did wrap up. I have a review of season 3 of Breeders that finished up this past Monday, July the 11th on FX. It's one of those shows. I know you guys have shows like this where you have like a love-hate relationship with it, where you watch it, it just does just enough for you to keep you engaged, keep you entertained. You care just enough about the characters to see what happens next. That's what Breeders is to me. It's only half an hour, so it's not like I'm investing a ton of time in it. I love Martin Freeman. I always have, No, not The Hobbit. I never saw The Hobbit. But, of course, as Dr. Watson,
right,
in the great classic, now classic, I guess we'd call it. It's been a while since they've put one out. Sherlock on PBS from the BBC.
They stint in Fargo, one of the seasons
of
Fargo.
He was in Fargo, one of the seasons. I find him to be a very empathetic, engaging actor where you do really care about him. And he is in this show. He's he tries to straddle the line where he tries to be the loving, caring father, but at the same time, he is the father that we are all inside. He's the one that's screaming and yelling, what the fuck do you think you're doing with your life by doing that? Where most of us keep that inside and we go, I don't know if you made the right decision, honey, but maybe next time you could think about it a little bit more and go another way. No, his character is like, I can't fucking believe you fucking did that. So, of course, that leads into all sorts of problems with his wife and, of course, the kids. One of the kids seems to take it fine and actually gets better because of it. And the other one I've mentioned, especially in season 2, the snowflake older son. Who I would have been ripping into just like him, because in season 2, he was such a wuss bag. Basically, he forced his father to move out because he didn't feel comfortable with him in the house.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, that's how snowflake centric it got.
No.
And of course, that upset the other kid.
Get the hell out of my house, kid.
But of course, the wife wouldn't have that.
Oh, well.
So, of course, now, season 3, you can tell issues were coming because of stuff like that. So now they're having problems. The son actually got better in season 3. The son actually ends up being halfway cool, halfway decent. He started a band, so he's playing bass in a band, and he's getting ready to, what was that we talked about in our sports edition this week with Zach Wilson? Homie hopping? He's getting ready to partake of some homie hopping.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
It's, like I said, it is the lowest recommendation I can give, because a lot of the time you don't like a lot of the characters, or you just
It's a
sit there.
slog to get through.
No, it's not a slog. It's just sometimes it's mundane because it's supposed to be about a real family, extended family with grandparents and all that. But sometimes it goes through patches where it's just boring. And you're just waiting for Martin Freeman to blow up. You almost want him
to make it entertaining,
even though you know he shouldn't. And that's part of the reason why his wife and him are having problems. And so I give it 2.5 frenzies a week, 2.5 frenzies, which is the lowest recommendation I can give.
There you go. All right.
A couple other news notes, tidbits from the streaming front. I know I watched season 1. I have not watched it since, even though I do now have Paramount Plus, but Evil has been renewed for season 4. So another one of those shows at some point, maybe, possibly, I'll try to catch back up on.
You know what? When they moved it off of CBS to Paramount, screw it. It's not worth it for me. It was okay, but it did not hook me in to want to pay extra for it.
Yeah. No, I understand that. And then one of the upcoming Disney Plus Marvel series, Echo.
What?
No, you're supposed to say Echo, 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 Echo. A spinoff of Hawkeye, the series from last year, might give us hope that maybe possibly they're going to start digging back in to those old Netflix Marvel series that we love so much, because Echo will prominently feature Kingpin and Daredevil.
Intriguing.
So we will see if that maybe gives us hope for. I know Disney doesn't want to. Disney does not want to mess with the Punisher, but
they're not going to touch Jessica Jones. They're not going to touch Luke Cage, and they sure as hell aren't going Punisher.
Well, they're not. I don't know if Mike Coulter, now that he's doing Evil for season 4, does he have time
for Cage?
Right. So
I'm surprised they're going to bring Daredevil back in.
Well, I think they heard the reaction for just the brief cameo that Matt Murdock had in Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think they saw the positive social media reaction to that.
They saw the dollar signs that could come from it.
Yeah. Yeah. More subscribers. More subscribers.
Yeah. We'll see. We will see.
All right, kids. That's going to do it for TV and streaming. Wrapping up segment 2 here. Coming up, my movie review of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Uncle Dave has story time and a book review.
Yep. Got that coming up. So.
Lots of, unfortunately, moments of silence in the entertainment world and lots of dumbasses. So hang out with us for a bit, won't you? We'll be right back. One final segment coming up.
In a world of politically correct sports coverage, 2 individuals stand alone as the last bastion of sanity. The Maestro and the Conquistador star in Sports Frenzy 2.0, the podcast.
Available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox. All right, kids, time to put the weekend edition to bed, even though you're probably listening to this Saturday morning, so you're just getting up. So don't go back to bed. Wake up, get a cup of coffee, start listening to the music we tell you to, watching the shows we tell you to, checking out the movies we tell you to. I am the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
Taping here July the 13th. This will hit Saturday morning, July the 16th. It is time for movies. I have a movie review this week. I promised it last week. This is going to be a difficult review because it's a difficult movie. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Big hit indie movie. Was just in the theaters. Now out, Blu-ray, DVD for rent. It is a metaphysical kung fu love story, family drama, weird ass sexual 2 hours and 15 minutes of this really bizarre, creative, intriguing movie.
Okay.
I'll guarantee you one thing right now. Come Oscar time next year, this will be nominated for Best Picture.
Really?
Because it is so out there and so different.
Did it get released too soon?
I think it got released too soon in order to win anything, because the momentum will die out. But in terms of winning, but nominations, it'll definitely get a ton of nominations.
All right.
You're right. If you release a movie too early in the year, it loses a lot of buzz, but it'll get nominated. You're right. Probably won't win because people will have forgotten about it, because February, March next year. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because everybody has the attention span of a frickin' gnat.
Let's put it this way. If you have the attention span of a freaking gnat, don't watch this movie, because you have got to pay attention throughout. One of the things I admire about it, it's very, very creative. It's very dense in terms of so much stuff going on around. You got to pay attention. Look in the background at times, see what's going on. Note things that come back and play an hour later.
Oh, wow.
Now it stars Michelle Yeoh, very prominent Oriental actress. Of course, since the story centers on an Oriental family, that's what most of your cast is. Although I will say, Jamie Lee Curtis is in this, plays a very prominent role. Girl let herself go. Let's put it that way. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but man, she looks rough in this movie. She looks rough. And I don't want to sound like I'm one of those guys. I actually admire women that don't go to the plastic surgeon, don't cake makeup on.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I kind of admire where she's going with her look right now. But yeah, she needs to lay off the croissants and the donuts for a while.
I was going to say the Twinkies and
Yeah.
ding dongs.
Yeah. Again, unless with all the effects and everything in this movie, I don't know if she's wearing some kind of a suit. I don't know. But
So this is not the Jamie Lee Curtis from True Lies.
No. No, again, because we're dealing with alternate dimensions and parallel universes here, you could hope and pray that that's one of them. But that's not what we're getting here. So Michelle Yeoh plays the mother in this family. She's very haggard, trying to run a laundromat, trying to take care of her father who just came over from overseas. Of course, he is the guy who played the maitre d' in the classic Seinfeld episode, The Chinese Restaurant.
Oh, God.
4 or 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes. Call right. That's her father in this. So I was immediately, kind of tickled by that. And then her husband, you'll get a kick out of this, was the guy who played, when he was younger, played Short Round and Data in The Goonies.
Oh, jeez.
Short Round from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He's grown up. He's playing the husband
Short
in this.
Stuff.
Short Round.
Or Short Round.
Short
Round.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's got a very recognizable cast. Let's put it that way.
Nice.
So the whole thing revolves around Michelle Yeoh gets pulled in, told by an alternate version of her husband that she is the savior of the multiverse. And she has to figure out a way to save all the different multiverses from the sinister Jobu Tabaki. One of the weirdest, coolest villain names ever. Jobu Tabaki.
Yo, bartender,
I will
Joe
not
Boo
tell
needs
you.
a refill.
I will not tell you who ends up being Jobu Tabaki. That would kind of spoil the plot, but again, it's probably too long. There are down moments, ruts, silly moments. There are moments that would actually put the guys who wrote the Herogasm episode of The Boys to shame. I was shocked by a couple things they did in this that were very, very, very hard R rated.
Oh my.
There was one scene where they actually had to block things out.
Oh jeez.
Because they didn't want an X rating.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So
and not sexual, like not people doing it, but
parts.
Yes.
So basically wait for the director's cut DVD.
Well, I don't know if you want to do that considering we're probably talking male parts.
Oh, never mind. Forget that.
But this movie is so wild, so crazy. In the end, it's basically a family trying to reconcile throughout a multiverse karate adventure with, again, very silly stuff, very wickedly nasty sexual stuff. I can't give it any more than 2 frenzies because in the end, I don't know if everything, the parts added up to be more.
The sum does not equal a whole.
Right. The parts were cooler than the whole.
All right.
I'll go 2 frenzies.
All righty then. There you go.
I think Uncle Dave has story time for us.
It's story time. So, the family been talking about trying to do a movie night with the neighbors this summer, and end of last year on sale at Aldi, we got one of their outdoor projectors. And so we've been waiting for them to get the big screens, the inflatable ones for the backyard to go. Didn't get it. So we wound up running out to Sam's Club. They had a sale on one. So last Saturday night, we got our popcorn machine that we found at a resale shop, almost brand new, fraction of the actual cost. So we got that fired up, cooking up popcorn, got the projector and screen set up, had the neighbors over. What movie do we want to watch? So they brought over a few, we brought a few out. We're running the gambit. Mask of Zorro. Do we want to do Charlotte's Web? Do we want to do various things? We settled on Back to the Barnyard because most the neighbors.
It's just Barnyard.
Huh?
I think it's just Barnyard.
No, it's Back to the Barnyard.
Okay.
Or is it the Barnyard? Whatever. Back to the Barnyard was the cartoon. The Barnyard is the movie. Anyway, the neighbors have 8 kids and most of them had never seen it. So we decided upon that. And I forgot how good it actually was. It's got the comedy, it's got the drama, it's sad, it's everything with the animals acting like humans, trying to hide it from all the humans, trying to save the farm animals from the evil coyotes. Good stuff, entertaining. But we were talking about it on the way to the Doobies. And we started mentioning other great animated movies that could have been viewed. So, trying to run through the gambit of...
thinking back to the classic Disney movies. And you got to remember, even though we are middle-aged, when you look at the classic Disney animated movies, those were even before our time.
Right. Where you
so
look back at Cinderella, and
yeah, that
then
stuff.
you get into our generation where you had the Rescuers, and it's okay animation. They threw some things in for the adults. You get into the newer stuff with the Toy Stories. Hoodwinked,
Yep.
by far another great one.
Yeah, we missed out. That was one of the few things that we really didn't get the best of, was the kids' movies, the animated movies when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were outside playing football and baseball and riding our bikes.
Yeah,
So we
instead
didn't
of
have to rely on watching cartoons unless we were at home
watching our favorites.
while we were eating dinner. But yeah, you're right. The kids nowadays over the last 20, 25 years have been blessed with the new golden age of animation.
Yeah.
With the Pixar stuff, like you said, Hoodwinked was really creative. Lots of in-jokes.
Yeah. So some things to kind of keep an eye out to go back on.
Yeah, I was never, I went to a few with my daughter when she was growing up. Most of the time, though, we just buy the DVD and watch them at home.
Yep, we waited and got the DVDs.
Yeah. I would say for me, personally, the ones I enjoyed the most had to be the Toy Story movies.
Those were always really good.
I thought they really tugged at your heartstrings, especially if you're older.
Yeah.
You could relate to a lot of what was going on with your favorite toy, having to give it up, throw it in a Goodwill box or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I for one that was so well written that harkened back to what would have been a good solid mystery with all the twists, the brilliance of Hoodwinked for me.
Yep. Yeah, now for another day, another time. Now we want to get into cartoons on TV. I could talk for hours. I could talk for hours.
Go.
All I got to do is say 2 words: Johnny Quest.
Boom, confetti.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But again, we're dealing with movies.
Yep. That's a topic for another story time.
Good story time,
Maybe
Uncle Dave.
We have to have just our favorite cartoon segment to rehash.
At some point, I think that's doable.
So it's our podcast. We can do what we want.
All right, couple movie items kind of tying in to TV and streaming. I almost brought this up when we were talking in the car on Sunday. I mentioned Sylvester Stallone's got a new show coming out on Paramount Plus late fall this year, where he plays a gangster who gets assigned to the rural Midwest.
Yeah.
There was another movie I was thinking about when we were talking about Stallone, though. I was like, I swear to God, he had finished up, and probably, again, COVID screwed everything up. There was a movie that he was supposedly done with that he had filmed where he played a superhero who had dropped off the face of the earth for 25 years and then appears again. And I finally, believe it or not,
found it.
Weird coincidence. No, weird. I did not go looking. I just let it go.
Up.
I let it go, and then 2 days later, they say Samaritan is the name of the movie. That's the name of his hero. Samaritan will skip the theaters, going straight to Amazon Prime Video, August the 26th, exclusively.
All right.
So something to look forward to.
Guess what we will be watching?
Now, really shitty news for a movie that we were both looking forward to. Really, really shitty news. Kids, you gotta know. I and Dave, we both love the 2 Chevy Chase Fletch movies. We love them.
Brilliantly written, brilliantly acted.
Moon River.
Using the whole fist there, Doc?
So we were intrigued, very intrigued, when finally Confess Fletch, with John Hamm taking over the role, of Erwin Fletcher finished up. We were waiting, like with Clerks 3,
Yep.
waiting to hear when this was coming out, going to Showtime on October the 28th.
Direct.
It's going to have a very, very, very limited theatrical run. It's going to be one of those movies that goes basically to premium video on demand on September the 16th, basically where they want to charge you $20 to rent the movie.
Crap.
And then it hits Showtime on October the 20th.
Come on. That's absolute BS.
The worst of the premium movie services.
Awful. Absolutely awful.
All right, Dave has got a book review for us this week, kids.
Yep. Brad Meltzer has written The Lightning Rod, which is the second book in the Zig and Nola. I guess now it's considered a series. Zigorowski, Zig, is a mortician who worked at Dover Air Force Base, prepping all the soldiers for their funerals and families. And Nola Brown is a former artist in residence for the Army who happened to have one time saved Zig's daughter's life at a Girl Scout campout. So he's kind of looking out for her a little bit. There's a connection there, but Nola is it's all about her, antisocial. She's got issues. Zig has issues, lost his daughter in a tragic accident after a fight with his now ex-wife. So the setup from the first one, fallout from that, comes into the second one where Zig's no longer working for the Army. He's private. They suck him in to prepping the body of a colonel who's involved in things he shouldn't have been. So this one, there's like 3 different things going on in the book that Zig and Nola are trying to figure out, reluctantly together, separate. Nola's long-lost twin brother makes an appearance. It's okay. It's kind of a fluff piece. Things get resolved that need to be. Things are definitely left open for another book. If you got nothing else to do to read these 2, it's okay. It's a strong 2. I can't go any higher than that. It's just okay. So,
and this is The Lightning Rod.
The Lightning Rod. So it's very cliche here and there. Things happen that you kind of expect to see. There's not a lot of twists in it. So,
wow, two frenzies on a book. That's rough.
So I should probably go 2.5. I might have been a little too critical, but
I was going to say, I know we've watched movies that are 2 or worse.
Yeah.
But usually if a book is that bad, I don't think I've ever gotten to the end of a book.
I'm probably being overly critical of it. So 2.5 is probably more what it should be. But I can't go any higher than that because I saw where things were going. And he was putting almost too much crammed into it. And there was a lot of back and forth with Nola's past, what led up to her being there, and then things with her brother. It was just kind of schizophrenic all over the place. So trying to do too much in one book.
Okay. I'm not trying to talk you into changing your rating.
But
I'm just saying it's a rare thing, for me at least, to rate a book that low because I probably wouldn't have gotten through it if it was going that bad.
Yeah.
But
it kept me going, but like I said, it was just all over the place. and it was kind of predictable here and there.
All right, kids, you're going to get a bonus segment here because I did not plot this out well enough. I should have let Dave do his book review in the last segment where we had extra time. So we're going to do moments of silence here, give you a fourth segment with our dumbasses just to make sure we don't rush, especially with the moments of silence here because we do have a lot and there are a couple.
We got some biggies.
There are a couple that need to be discussed. So we'll start off with the big one.
The big one, legendary actor James Caan passed away. 82 years old. Notably from The Godfather, Sonny Corleone. Played Brian Piccolo, Bears running back in Brian's Song. The Killer Elite. Thief.
Thief is my personal favorite.
I mean, there's just so much that he's been in. Elf, one of his later roles. So good in everything he's done.
TV show
Vegas.
Vegas. Was it Las Vegas or?
Yeah, Las Vegas.
I think it was Las Vegas because Vegas was Uric.
Yeah, Las Vegas. One of my favorite actors.
Yep.
Throughout.
Yep. Very, very sad to see him pass. At least he lived a full life.
Yes, by far. No regrets in his late interviews. He did what he wanted to do. So, thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
When I was a kid growing up, one of the funniest sitcoms that I watched. Now, everybody watched Gilligan's Island. Everybody watched The Brady Bunch. Those were afternoon staples of things to watch when you got home from school.
Yep.
But one of the most underrated shows that I watched on reruns when I was a kid was F Troop.
F Troop was good. They did not air it often enough.
No, Ken Berry, Forrest Tucker, I believe, was the other main actor, along with the great Larry Storch, who just passed away.
Great,
who played
comic
Agarn.
actor.
He was fantastic. I mean, the whole show was great, but Agarn was the one that really pulled it together. Yep.
He carried the show.
Yep.
And Storch was great in anything he did.
Yep. And I told Dave I had to double check this because I could have swore this could have been one of the ones that I got duped on. Once I got duped on Bob Denver. I heard that Bob Denver died, and I got sucked in and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it!" And then somebody said, "Oh, he died years ago."
Yeah. No, there was another actor from F Troop a while back that you were probably thinking of.
But yeah, Larry Storch, awesome actor. Never got the credit he deserved. The show never got the credit it deserved. So personally for me, very, very sad. Thoughts and prayers to Larry Storch's family and friends.
Yep. Monty Norman. Who is that, you ask? He is the composer of the theme song for James Bond.
The iconic song. Yep.
You know it. You love it. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends.
I was never a huge Sopranos guy. I did watch about half of it, I think. I know there are people out there that worship that show. I always was more partial, if we're talking HBO shows, to The Wire. But Tony Sirico passed away here recently. He played Paulie Walnuts on The Sopranos.
Yep. Also big in Goodfellas, Bullets Over Broadway. A lot of roles in any of the gangster movies of late.
Yep. So thoughts and prayers to everybody out there, the Soprano fans, and of course, Tony Sirico's family and friends.
Yep. And then character actor, really appeared in a lot of Sam Peckinpah movies. L.Q. Jones, notably from The Wild Bunch, and then co-star in Lone Wolf McQuade, one of Chuck Norris's big roles. So he was his partner in that one. So
yeah, and he's one of those character actors.
Yeah.
You've got to see his picture. When you see his picture, you will know who he is.
Yeah.
And we get those every month or two. One of these great character actors passes away, and we tell you who it is and what they were in, but it is hard to place them if you don't see their face. Once you see their face, you're like, oh, that guy.
Yep.
He's one of those.
Yeah. So thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
And then finally, doing a full circle here, going back to the rock and roll front. First opening act I ever saw. Opener for Billy Squier was Nazareth. The guitarist for Nazareth, Manny Charlton, passed away here the past 7 to 10 days. So another rock and roller from our generation has bit the dust. So
unfortunately,
it's just going to keep happening because you don't beat Father Time. You can't beat Father Time. All right, kids, like I mentioned, bonus segment coming up. Won't be too long.
Nope. Couple of dumbasses that we need to delve into.
Just don't want to cut everything short. So instead, we finish this segment off in a nice, timely, well-rounded fashion and move on to a bonus segment of Red Foreman Dumbasses of the Week. Hang on. We'll be right back. Hello, this is Will Smith. You might know me as the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You might also know me from Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. And now you must also know me as an Academy Award-winning actor for King Richard. Also by now, you know there are 2 things I do not like people talking about in my presence. Namely, my open marriage and my wife's lack of hair. Well, now there is a 3rd thing you do not talk about in front of Will Smith. You do not talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. My boys Kev and Dave will hit slap the sports world in Hollywood each and every week on Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the Weekend Edition on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Just remember, keep Sports Frenzy's name out your damn mouth. All right, your bonus segment on the Weekend Edition here, taping on July the 13th. This will hit Saturday morning, the 16th of July, is your Red Foreman Dumbasses of the Week.
The way these people are screwing up their lives, death would be a sweet release.
We're not going to play Dumbass or Not, but of course Dave will chime in and give you his thoughts on my picks for these dumbasses. All over the map here, starting off, of course, with wrestling. We mentioned a few weeks back the payoff that Vince McMahon of the WWE gave. $3 million hush money.
Yep.
To keep quiet an affair he was having with an employee. Well, now it turns out that was the tip of the iceberg.
It's getting worse, kids. It's getting worse.
It is now up to 4 women that Vince McMahon has paid a total of $12 million over the last 16 years. Also looks like there might be issues with one of his creative people James Laurinaitis, I believe it is.
Yep.
It looks like maybe there was some sharing going on.
Ugh.
And there might also be some settlements that he has paid out.
It's going to get worse.
Again, we've mentioned this in the past over and over and over again. There is a line, power and money. These guys think they can cross that line without repercussions, or like Vince McMahon is doing, just pay their way out of it.
Yeah. Accountability. Come on.
At some point in time, I think this goes back to what we were talking about with Dan Snyder, the owner of the Washington football team.
Yeah.
In our regular Sports Frenzy edition this week, enough with letting the rich and the powerful get away with it. Bring the hammer down.
Justice needs to be served. There has to be accountability. This crap has got to stop.
We talked about Stranger Things last week. Well, there's like a dating controversy, a social media dating controversy going on. Now, I'm not sure who the dumbass is here. I think it is Noah Schnapp, although I've heard that people are supporting him.
You know, let's go with the story and we'll delve into the true dumbass on this.
Now, Noah
one.
Schnapp is the kid that plays Will Byers in Stranger Things.
Yes.
Well, he was DMing the singer Doja Cat.
Or she DM'd him.
Yeah, something like that. There's some kind. She found out a way to contact him, or they had a previous, connection, so they knew how to get a hold of each other. Well, she is supposedly smitten, aren't we all, with the great and glorious Eddie Munson, actor, of course, is Joseph Quinn. And she basically asked Noah Schnapp, hey, hook me up with him. I want to go out with him. I want to, go hang with Joseph Quinn. Noah Schnapp goes and proceeds to take all of this conversation, takes a screenshot of it, and posts it for all to see. Now, see, to me, that makes him kind of a dumbass.
That's kind of a dumbass move.
Now, Doja Cat came back and said, I understand you're only 17 years old, but this was not a cool move, dude. You really shouldn't have done this. I'm not happy with you for doing this. Now, like I mentioned, it seems like social media is backing him for some reason because she's lost a couple hundred thousand followers because of her saying, not a cool move, dude. Not really something I respect out of you. I don't see how what he did was right in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's not. That's
a private conversation.
Crass to have done. He should not have done that at all. I don't know. She could not find another way to get a hold of Quinn. Seriously?
I don't know. I think that's what she was trying to do, is trying to get a hold of him through Noah Schnapp, since they were both on Stranger Things. But I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works with Twitter and all this and Instagram. I don't know how you connect with people. I know how it works on Facebook, and that's about it.
Yeah, No, the kid was a dumbass for posting that whole thing. But there had to have been a different way for her to go about it, too.
You would think. Like I said, on Facebook, all you do, you look up his name, you find his verified account or his
and you friend request.
And see what happens.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Poorly executed by her, dumbass move by him.
I'm going to take some glee out of this next one. I think you will too. It's kind of like rock and roll poetic justice because it involves one of our least favorite bands of all time. First time on the road in 10 years for, in my opinion, the overrated irritating Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, God.
But wow, bad luck for their, I don't know what to say to describe him, arrogant, pompous, jackass lead singer, Zach De La Roca. In
The useless.
only the second show of the tour, jumping up and down to one of their songs, he fucked up his leg to the point where he couldn't continue standing up. Had to sit for the rest of the show, a la Phil Collins with Genesis recently. And at the end of the show, had to be helped off the stage by a couple roadies.
Oh, my.
There has been no update yet on how severe the injury is.
Torn ACL, popped Achilles.
But it couldn't have happened to a nicer dumbass.
Yeah, he's a pretentious jerk.
And I respect Tom Morello's guitar playing. He is one of the greatest guitar players out there right now, but I'm tired of their politics. They are a little bunch of winebag douches.
Yep, well stated.
All right. The three I've got left, unfortunately, are all going to delve in some way, shape, or form into politics, but they'll be real quick and painless. Well,
rip the Band-Aid right off.
Yeah, they're not painless because we got to deal with these fools every day of our lives. Number one, Jon Stewart, another guy who thinks he's smarter than everybody else, arrogant, just like Michael Moore, thinks he is such a great human being, a leader.
Yeah,
he's right, we're wrong.
Go away.
He had to come out and declare this week, I will not be running for president. Who gives a rat's ass?
Nobody cares. Nobody in a right mind would even consider you at all.
And this is what I'm getting tired of. Just because Ronald Reagan won the election for the presidency in the 80s, and he was, yes, a movie star, doesn't mean that every celebrity on the face of the earth
should think
that they can run the goddamn country. And shame on us as a society for condoning this and actually voting for them or giving them positive vibes, props.
Anything.
No, I don't want Matthew McConaughey as president. No, I don't want The Rock as president. And I sure as hell don't want Jon Stewart as president.
The ego on that dumbass.
And how many times do we say that week after week? He's got the ego. She's got the ego. They all think their shit doesn't stink.
They're all morons.
We're going back to the Cold War, Dave.
Burr, get your parka.
New York City. Mayor Adams in New York City actually spent the people's money out of the government coffers to put together and air a public service announcement, what to do in case of a nuclear attack.
Oh, come on.
I am not kidding, and you have got to listen to this.
Come on.
I did not see
Bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. That's what it is.
I did not see it. I heard the audio, though, and everybody agrees with you. Everybody that has listened to this just laughs and goes, you people are out of your mind to think this. Talking about putting your clothes in a bag if you are outside when the bomb hits.
Oh, come on.
Make sure you get in a basement.
No.
And the woman they've got doing this is so casual about this. You know what she closes the PSA out with?
What?
Don't worry, New York. You've got this.
Oh, jeez. How freaking stupid. Oh, my God. That is absolutely pathetic.
A PSA about how to survive a nuclear attack in New York City in 2022. Not 1982, 2022.
That's something that should have been 1962. I mean, come on. Anybody with a brain knows New York is a ground zero target that will be annihilated in the blink of an eye. There is nobody there that is going to survive on any level. Good Lord.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
What a waste of freaking
kids,
money.
you literally have got to go out and at least listen to the audio of this
Oh my God.
and how ridiculous this is.
Oh, my head hurts.
And then finally, to wrap up the bonus segment and call it a night, call it a weekend edition, I would be remiss if I didn't, of course, jump on the bandwagon, pile on the First Lady of the United States of America, Jill Biden. This is a slow pitch softball after you have had 5 cups of coffee and you're just waiting to tear into it and you jack it over the fence. That's how easy this was. This could be a big nominee for Dumbass of the Year, a main nominee for Dumbass of the Year. As Jill Biden compares Latinos to breakfast tacos.
What?
Jill Biden was doing a speech trying to talk about diversity. Number one, earlier in the line, she talks about, you know what a bodega is, right? You've heard the word. She called it like a bodega. Couldn't even pronounce bodega correctly.
Oh, Lord.
And she's trying to make comparisons about, diverse is different as snowflakes or something like that, And at the very end, she goes, and she's talking about the Latino community, or as diverse as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio. The First Lady said that the Latino community in San Antonio was as diverse as breakfast tacos. I am not kidding. I'm not making it up.
She has been hanging out with her husband way too damn long, making dumbass statements.
This is why we can't have presidents for 4 years anymore. We should be able to get him and her out of office right now. 2 years out. The fact that we have to put up with these morons, Jill Biden, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, get them all out of my life now. God help me.
We're going to have the dumbasses out of government.
The governmental wing of the Sports Frenzy plane of doom isn't going to have any room left unless some of these people get voted out or taken out of office.
Oh, God. We need a clean house. All right, kids. That wraps it up. He's the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
He's the Conquistador, Dave Height. Thanks for hanging out for a bonus segment.
We'll talk to you next Saturday. More reviews and news coming at your way.
Concerts, movies, TV, and streaming, fun stuff, kids. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you next week.